It started with the kind of silence that makes your skin itch. You know, the kind that comes after a long absence, like the house itself was holding its breath. She was supposed to be back from her girls' vacation in Tulum. Sun, sea, and a suspicious lack of selfies. I was in the kitchen, flipping through a mail pile that hadn't been touched in a week. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. I'd taken the day off to welcome her back, though deep down I wasn't sure what I was welcoming back anymore, her or the version of her I still believed in. Then I heard it. Car doors. Laughter. Multiple voices. I stepped toward the window like a man approaching a bomb he didn't remember planting. And there she was. Not just my wife. Her. A walking contradiction wrapped in designer sunglasses and sun-kissed lies. And beside her? Him. Taller than me, maybe. Better looking? Depends who's asking. But confidence? Oh, he had it spilling out of his linen shirt like he bought it wholesale. One hand on her lower back. The other dragging a sleek leather duffel bag I'd never seen in our closet. Behind them, a bellhop, yes, a literal hotel bellhop pulling luggage up the driveway like this was some five-star resort. She turned to him, said something I couldn't hear, and laughed. Laughed. It wasn't just the presence of another man that cracked the illusion, it was the ease. The choreography. Like this wasn't their first act together. I opened the door, slow and quiet. Not dramatic. Not theatrical. Just tired. She spotted me and smiled. Oh, you're home. Like I'd crashed her brunch plans. That's when she dropped the line that would echo in my skull for weeks. This is Brandon. He'll be staying with me for a bit. With me, she said. Not with us. That was the moment I knew. Not suspected. Not feared. Knew. But I didn't say a word. I just smiled, turned around, and put the kettle on. Because sometimes, before the storm, you sip your tea. You let the enemy unpack their bags. You wait. Because if there's going to be a reckoning, you make sure it's served cold. And slow. Brandon made himself at home in about 5 minutes flat. Kicked his shoes off, dropped his designer weekender by the couch, and gave me a nod like we were old college buddies reconnecting over craft beer. Logan, right? He said, offering a hand. I looked at it like it owed me money. My wife, Ashley, jumped in to smooth things over. She was always good at that. Smoothing over, glossing up, covering tracks. Be nice, she said. We've had a long flight. I gestured toward the guest room without a word. It wasn't a welcoming gesture. More like the way you'd point a burglar toward your most useless drawer and say, help yourself. They disappeared down the hall. I heard low voices. A suitcase unzipping. Then a laugh. His laugh. Deep, annoying. The kind of laugh that assumes the world finds him charming. I went back to the kitchen and sat at the table, where a credit card bill sat unopened. Her card. Our shared account. I'd meant to toss it aside, but something gut, instinct, divine pettiness made me rip it open. First line, the Riviera Suites, Ocean View Deluxe, $3,279. Ocean View. Not exactly a girl's getaway at a hostel. Second line, Le Viewport Fine Dining, for $116.75. 2 entrees. 2 glasses of wine. 1 dessert. A $75 tip? How generous. Third line, Tiffany & Company, $645. Well, I hadn't gotten a bracelet, or earrings, or anything except half a sandwich she left in the fridge labeled, do not touch. Ashley had told me sworn, in fact, that she stayed at a little boutique place, nothing fancy. Said it like the trip was barely above camping. I stared at the statement, then slowly set it down. The difference between suspicion and proof is the weight. Proof doesn't flutter in the gut like doubt, it lands in your chest like an anchor. I suddenly couldn't breathe. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't yell, cry, or throw anything dramatic. No. I waited until breakfast. Because I wanted the lie to come to me. And I wanted to be ready when it did. The next morning, I made breakfast. Not out of kindness, out of strategy. Scrambled eggs, toast, black coffee. Her favorites. The kind of breakfast you make when you want someone to feel comfortable before you flip the floor out from under them. She walked in wearing one of my t-shirts. Funny. The same shirt she used to wear when we were happy, back when that meant something. Brandon was still asleep, or pretending to be. Probably too embarrassed to face the guy whose life he'd casually walked into like a living, breathing wrecking ball. Ashley sat across from me, phone in hand, scrolling. Her nails tapped the screen like a countdown. I slid the credit card statement across the table. Didn't say a word. She looked up. What's this? Just breakfast. And receipts. She picked up the paper, I scanning the list. Her pupil shrank. Her fingers twitched, just slightly. I thought you stayed at a small hotel, I said, calm as glass. I did, she lied. $3, $2.79 small? She looked up. Logan, don't do this. Oh, I'm doing it, I said, sipping my coffee. Just not how you expected. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this. You mean correctly? She set the paper down. Look, it's not what it looks like. Then explain the suite. The dinner. The jewelry. The man currently using my guest towels. Her mouth opened. Closed. Reset like a broken vending machine. Then she said the worst possible thing she could have chosen. It was just a connection. It happened. I didn't plan it. I laughed. Not the nice kind. The kind that fills the room with a sound colder than any silence. You connected? I said. You lied, stole, and cheated. But yeah, let's call it a connection. She stood up. You don't get to judge me. That line was the moment I felt the door inside me shut. Not slam. Not creak. Just click. Like a lock sliding into place. I stood, walked to the sink, and rinsed my cup. Then, with a steady hand, I grabbed the envelope I'd left on the counter. Inside? Photos. Printed screenshots. The suite's booking confirmation under her name. Dinner reservations for Mr. and Mrs. Brandon Ellis. A little receipt for a just because gift from Tiffany and Company. And the final touch? A picture from the resort's tagged Instagram page. Her, in a white sundress, holding his hand, kissing his cheek. Captioned, Paradise with my person. I laid them out like playing cards. I didn't come to breakfast hungry, I said. I came to show you the truth, since you've forgotten what it looks like. She stared at the table, frozen. I won't fight, I said, grabbing my keys. You already lost. And just like that, I left. But not for good. No. Because forgiveness? That was off the menu. But revenge? That was already simmering. I didn't go far. Just far enough. Checked into a business-class hotel 30 minutes across town, the kind with neutral carpet and zero emotional history. No wedding photos on the nightstand. No toothbrush waiting in a shared cup. Just white sheets, room service, and silence. You'd be surprised how peaceful a beige room can feel when your life has just been spray-painted with betrayal. I didn't call anyone. I didn't text back the few friends who had asked how the welcome back dinner went. I wasn't ready to explain that my wife had returned from vacation with a different man and a suitcase full of stolen time. I sat down on the stiff couch, opened my laptop, and logged into our bank account. Joint. Still. Big mistake on her part. It wasn't that I wanted to empty it. No, not yet. But I wanted to know the terrain. Financial battlefields don't start with lawyers, they start with information. And I was suddenly fluent in numbers again. Her business trip had cost thousands. And I could track every lie. The plane ticket to Cancun? Bought under her maiden name. The suite? Paid in full with our card. The Tiffany bracelet? Shipped to her office with a gift note that read, For the woman who makes everything better. Be. Better. Better than me? Maybe. But I wasn't finished. And I wasn't going to break dishes or burn her clothes or scream into the wind. That kind of anger dies out fast. No, I wanted something colder. Something that could endure. The next morning, I called my office. Told them I was extending my time off. Personal matters, I said. Which was technically true, just not in the take care of my ailing aunt kind of way. Then I called a lawyer. Not a family friend. Not a soft-touch mediator. No. I called Gerald T. Reed. The same Gerald who helped my boss dismantle his ex-wife's financial fortress down to her last frequent flyer mile. Gerald had the ethics of a shark and the smile of a man who'd rather be sued than bored. Just my type. I gave him the highlights. Ashley. Brandon. The card statements. The photos. The Instagram caption. He asked 2 questions. Any kids? No. Do you want the house or the win? I didn't hesitate. I want the story to end with her realizing she played the wrong man. He leaned back in his chair, amused. Then let's get to work. That afternoon, while Ashley was probably flipping throw pillows in the living room and Brandon was raiding my cereal shelf like he earned it, I sat in a clean hotel robe, sipping mediocre coffee and building my masterpiece. I opened a spreadsheet. I titled it, Operation Curtain Call. Columns. Date of lie. Location. Amount spent. Statement proof. Emotional damage, scale 1 to 10. Petty? Absolutely. Necessary? Even more so. Some men burn bridges. I was drawing a map, so she could watch herself get lost in it. I logged her lies, one by one. Business dinners that were actually late-night hotel check-ins. Yoga retreats that somehow included surfboard rentals and champagne tastings for two. A week in July, when she told me she was with her sister, turns out they were 300 miles apart the entire time. I wasn't crying. I was calculating. Let her spend the rest of her life trying to figure out how I stayed so calm. Let her wonder what I did in those first 72 hours. Because while she was whispering to Brandon in my sheets, I was laying the foundation for a fallout that wouldn't be loud, but would echo for years. Around noon, I got a message from her. "Where are you?" No punctuation. Just that hollow line. I didn't reply. 3 hours later. "We need to talk." Still no apology. No remorse. Just a demand, dressed like a suggestion. I deleted it. That night, I went back through our shared photos, every vacation, every anniversary dinner. Not to mourn, but to notice. The early ones? She was laughing, holding my hand, wearing the gold pendant I gave her our first year. The recent ones? She was looking at the camera, not me. There was a difference. It wasn't that I didn't see the shift before. I did. I just thought marriages had seasons. I believed in rough patches, in fighting for what matters. Turns out, only one of us was in a marriage. She was already in the sequel. By the third night, I got a call from her mother. That's when I knew she was panicking. "Logan," the woman said gently. "Ashley says she's made a mistake. Can we talk?" I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, but because I finally realized the game she thought we were playing. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a strategy. She'd planned to come back, introduce Brandon as casually as a new throw pillow, and let me react like a villain. She wanted chaos, anger, a scene. Instead, I gave her silence. And that terrified her more than any shouting match ever could. "Tell her I'm thinking," I said to her mother. "And that she should be too." I hung up. Then I opened my spreadsheet again. Typed one more row. Date of departure, May 6th. Location, kitchen table. Amount spent, dignity. Statement proof, hers. Emotional damage, 0. Now, because here's the thing about betrayal. You don't get to choose how it ends. But if you play your hand right, you do get to write the final chapter. And I was just getting started. Brandon made the first mistake. He showed up at my office. I wasn't there, obviously. But word travels fast when someone shows up in tailored slacks and cologne so aggressive it probably qualified as workplace harassment. My assistant called me an hour later, voice thick with amusement. "Hey, Logan?" Some guy came by. Tall, tan, looked like a toothpaste commercial. Said he wanted to chat man to man. I let the silence hang. He say what it was about? She chuckled. "Didn't need to. The way he said your wife's name? Like he trademarked it." I thanked her and ended the call, staring out the window of the hotel room I still hadn't told anyone I was living in. This was good. Brandon had just given me something far more valuable than a confrontation. Visibility. He wanted to be seen. Men like Brandon are always thirsty for the spotlight. They mistake attention for control. And that need? That was something I could work with. That evening, I drove back to the house. Not to enter. Just to observe. Parked down the street like a ghost in a rental sedan. Watched as he came out to toss trash, shirtless, like he thought the whole neighborhood was his audience. He strutted. Literally strutted. Ashley appeared at the door behind him. She looked tired. Not guilty. Not heartbroken. Just tired. The way a person looks when they realize they bought a ticket to the wrong show and can't get a refund. I gave it 3 days. Then I made my move. It started with a simple call to our HOA. See, Ashley had always handled the community board stuff, which meant I was still listed as the primary homeowner. And Brandon? Well, Brandon had parked his black Audi in the wrong spot for 3 nights straight, right in front of a fire hydrant. HOA violation #117. See. I submitted a formal complaint, with photos. By morning, Brandon had a fine on the windshield and a warning in the mail. That same day, I froze our shared account, just long enough to flag suspicious activity. She texted me in a panic. "Logan, my card declined. What are you doing?" I ignored it, because I had already done the math. She wasn't using her own card at the boutique last week, or at the spa 2 days ago. She was still using our joint account like nothing had changed. Like I was the one who needed to move on. That's the thing about betrayal. They want to hurt you, but still expect you to carry their groceries while they do it. Not anymore. That night, I called Gerald, my lawyer, and said 4 words. Let's pull the trigger. He filed the paperwork before sunrise. Divorce. Irreconcilable differences. Attached with screenshots, bank statements, proof of infidelity, and a polite little note requesting Ashley vacate the house within 30 days. We didn't ask. We served. On day 4, Brandon tried to contact me directly. Found me on LinkedIn. Sent a message. Hey man, I get that things got messy, but I'd like to clear the air. Can we talk? I read it 3 times. Then I did something cruel. I responded, sure. Let's talk. Come by the house Friday morning, 8 a.m. He replied in under a minute. Classic. Sounds good. I'll bring coffee. Perfect. Friday morning, I showed up at my own house for the first time since I left it behind. I arrived at 7:45. Brandon rolled in at 7:58, right on time, holding 2 coffees like we were about to do a TED Talk on forgiveness. He spotted me in the driveway, raised a hand like we were gym buddies who'd just run into each other at Whole Foods. Logan. Hey, man. Thought we could talk. I looked at the house. Ashley wasn't at the window. She wasn't anywhere. I'd made sure of that. I walked up to him, hands in pockets. Calm. Brandon, I said. Tell me something. He paused. Yeah. What did you think was going to happen here? He blinked. I wanted to be respectful. We didn't mean for things to start the way they did. It just kind of happened. I nodded. It just kind of happened. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know things were still going on with you two. You didn't know we were married? His jaw twitched. Well, I mean, I knew you were married. I just thought, not happily. Interesting, I said. So that's the rule now? Unhappy means open season. He shifted, uncomfortable. Look, I care about her. I didn't come here to fight. No, I said. You came here because you thought I'd forgive you. He opened his mouth to respond, but I cut him off. I don't. I reached into my pocket and handed him a folded envelope. What's this? 30-day notice. Ashley's getting one too. You're both officially unwanted guests. House is being listed next month. I suggest you start packing. His face paled. Wait. What? You can't just. I can. Because legally? She cheated. With you. In a house I still own. Which means I get to make the rules now. He looked around, as if the Hedges were going to object. She doesn't have anywhere to go, he said, voice suddenly small. Not my problem, I said. She should have thought of that before she tried to play house with a man who doesn't even know how HOA fines work. He looked like he wanted to say something, apologize, maybe, or punch me. But I was already walking away, back to my car. I didn't need to win an argument. I just needed him to understand. I'd already won the war. Ashley called me 13 times in one day. Texted me another 16. The first few were panicked. The next few were angry. By sunset, she'd settled into desperate. I didn't respond to any of them. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because she didn't deserve to hear it from me. I'd spent years giving her the benefit of the doubt, filling in her silences with hope. No, I gave her nothing. Silence isn't the absence of communication. It's the loudest sentence you can write. At 9 p.m. sharp, she sent one more. You're being cruel. And just like that, the woman who once cheated with full confidence was now accusing me of cruelty for refusing to play her game. Let me back up. That morning, she came home to find a real estate agent walking through the living room, clipboard in hand, noting the square footage and lighting angles like he was prepping the place for a magazine shoot. She wasn't expecting that. The house still had her scent, her books on the shelves, her throw blanket on the couch, but suddenly none of it felt like hers. Because it wasn't. The agent gave her a polite smile, introduced himself, and handed her a business card. We're looking to have it listed by early next month. Please make sure it's tidy for the photographer. Ashley blinked. I live here. Not for long, he said, checking something off his form and moving on. That was the day the world turned. She called my lawyer. He referred her to the paperwork. She called my office. They said I was on sabbatical. She called my mother. Mom blocked her. She was finally realizing this wasn't a fight. This was exile. That afternoon, she tried one last move. The oldest one in the book. She showed up at the hotel. How she found it, I'll never know. Probably stalked my bank activity. She always was good at logistics when it benefited her. She stood outside the hotel room door, knocking like she owned the floor. I waited exactly 30 seconds before opening it. Not out of hesitation. Just to make a point. She looked different. Not like she had at the airport when she strolled up with Brandon and a bronze tan and a suitcase full of vacation glow. No? She looked like someone who had just realized the lifeboat was already gone. Logan, she breathed, like my name was still hers to say. We need to talk. You're right, I said. But we won't. I started to close the door. She put her hand on it. Please, she whispered. I let the door open 2 more inches. Nothing more. Say what you came to say. She hesitated, swallowed, then gave me the one thing I didn't ask for. An apology. I messed up, she said. I got caught up. I felt forgotten. And Brandon made me feel seen. Like a hotel concierge? I asked. Or a man with an open calendar and a firm jawline? She looked away. I thought you'd fight for me, she said. That line. I could have laughed. You thought I'd fight for you, I repeated, letting it sink in. You brought a man home from vacation like a souvenir, moved him into my house, spent my money, lied to my face, and now you're upset that I didn't grab a sword and duel him for your honor? Tears welled in her eyes. Not the kind that make you feel sympathy. The kind that come when the chessboard flips and the queen realizes the king has left the game. I didn't think it would go this far, she said. That's the thing about consequences, I replied. They don't need your permission to arrive. She looked around the room. At the untouched bed, the packed bag in the corner. You're really leaving everything? She asked. No, I said. I'm taking me. That's what she never understood. She thought love meant possession. That if she had the house, the comfort, the routine, she had me. But love isn't a mortgage. It's not a habit. It's a choice. And she stopped choosing me long before Cancun. She stepped back, eyes down. I don't know what to do. You'll figure it out, I said. You're resourceful. You found a man in a different time zone. I'm sure you can find a 1-bedroom rental. She turned away then. Not with a bang. Not with some dramatic exit. Just quietly. Like someone walking out of a movie they didn't understand. I closed the door. Sat back down on the bed. No satisfaction. No relief. Just stillness. Because revenge isn't fire and fury. It's when the person who thought they could destroy you has to sit in the ashes alone. You know what's worse than betrayal? Public silence after it. Ashley expected a scandal. Screaming matches. Maybe a viral Facebook post or 2. But I didn't give her noise. I gave her absence. That's what killed her. She started posting photos, old ones. Us on vacation. Laughing over drinks. Throwbacks with hashtag TBT, like she was trying to rebuild the fantasy. But nobody bought it. People started asking questions. Quietly. Behind her back. Friends we'd had over for dinners, barbecues, birthdays, they all noticed something was off. Some messes don't need announcements. They stink loud enough on their own. Then one day, she logged into our shared streaming account. The one still under my name. And found the new username I'd added. Not your husband. The profile icon? A shark. Petty? Sure. But let's call it symbolic. 2 days later, she called my best friend. Matt. Tried the sympathy route. He just left me. No explanation. Matt, bless him, replied with one line. You don't mug someone and cry when they change the locks. Word spread. Ashley didn't just lose me. She lost credibility, which, in our town, was a more valuable currency than love. Here's the part she never saw coming. Brandon left. Not with fanfare. Not with fireworks. Just a quiet Thursday morning disappearance. I knew at the moment she emailed me about negotiating the timeline of the property listing. Translation, he bailed. Apparently, being a live-in souvenir wasn't as glamorous when there were eviction notices on the table and the wine rack was empty. Funny thing about guys like Brandon, they love the thrill, not the maintenance. The minute real life walked in the door, he walked out. She tried to spin it. He needed to focus on his business. Right. Because nothing says career-focused like freeloading in another man's kitchen. Meanwhile, I closed on a new place. Smaller. Quieter. Higher up. Literally and metaphorically. I kept the furniture minimal. No clutter. No history. Except for one frame on the shelf. A printout of the credit card bill that started it all. Call it decor. Call it closure. The irony? It came in a white envelope. No name. Just an address. Inside, an invitation to her engagement party. She was engaged again. Not to Brandon. To someone new. Someone with money. And, judging by the name embossed on the invitation, someone with no clue what he was stepping into. I wasn't angry. Honestly, I smiled. Because you know what people like Ashley do best? They repeat. And you know what men like me do? Remember. I RSVP'd with a single line. Already attended the rehearsal dinner. Pass. I never heard back. Here's the cruelest part of this story, and the reason I sleep better now than I ever did while married. I didn't destroy her. I just let her be herself. I gave her space, silence, and consequences. I didn't fight. I vanished. And in doing so, I let every lie she ever told turn inward. Her friends faded. Her new man? He'll learn. Or he won't. Either way, that's not my story anymore. Mine ends here. I'm sitting on a balcony, coffee in hand, overlooking a city that doesn't know my name, and therefore can't use it against me. Ashley? She's a memory now. A cautionary tale. A ghost in the guest room of a life I've already left behind. And me? I'm free. Not broken. Not bitter. Just done. And honestly, that's the sweetest revenge of all.